Hey guys, this is our lesson on graphing systems equations, and then we are actually going to introduce substitution. Um, so, without further ado, let's go ahead and make sure that we have a few things. Number one, if we do not have them, we are going to need a marker board. Okay, you will not need calculators today. Okay, so don't worry about the calculators, but you need a marker board. And we're going to do some practice problems to get ready for what would be our quiz. So, sub, if you need to pause the video and allow students to quickly get marker boards, go ahead and do that now. Okay, out with my ugly mug. Peace. Peace, ugly mug. All right, so we have these two problems. I'm going to write it bigger just in case you're having trouble seeing it. We have two problems here, two equations here. We have y equals 2/3 x plus 8, and y equals -1/9 x plus 1. Okay, so reminder, both of these problems, they have different slopes. The top one has a slope of 2/3, the bottom has a slope of -1/9. So they should intersect somewhere within this graph. Okay, so please pause the video and go ahead and complete this problem. About 3 minutes. All right, so let's look here. We'll put the top one in red. Y-intercept's 8. Slope is 2/3. Up 2, right 3 from here. Up 2, right 3. And I need to make extra points going the other direction. Okay, many people have missed this because they're not making extra points. So I'm just going to continue that pattern of making extra points. There we go. So there's that line. On to the next one. Okay, I'm going to do the second one in blue. So y-intercept's 1. So there's my y-intercept. And my slope here is -1/9. So it's negative. So I'm going down 1, right 9. Down 1, right 9. So there's one spot. I'm going reverse, up, and left. There's my intersection point. So I do need to connect this. And then I have to name that point correctly. Remember, it's x comma y. So my x-axis, that's at -9. And my y-axis, that is at +2. Okay, and that's it. Okay, there's going to be 3 problems on our quiz that are like this. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one also. Let me go ahead and write it bigger first. So y equals 2/3 x plus 7, and y equals -2/3 x plus 3. Okay, once again, they do not have the same slope, so they should intersect somewhere within this graph. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. About 3 minutes to do this problem. All right, let's look here. Y-intercept 7. Slope is +2/3, so up 2, right 3 from here. Up 2, right 3. And reverse, down 2, left 3. And I'm going to continue, doing that pattern. Go ahead and draw that line. Then my second one, y-intercept's 3. That's 2, excuse me. So 3. My slope is negative, so that's down 2, right 3. Down 2, right 3. 2. That's actually going further away. So let me turn this around and boom, they hit right there. There's that line. Last but not least, please do not forget to name your data point. X first. So -3, Y second, +5. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and do a few random graphs. Okay, so for these random graphs, I do want to make sure that we understand this is considered, what you're seeing here is considered consistent, independent. Consistent, independent because they meet right there. Okay, so what I want you to do is draw me a rough sketch of a system that would be considered inconsistent. Inconsistent. All right. So for it to be inconsistent, what we should have drawn on our graph is two lines that are parallel. I know mine are not perfectly parallel, but two parallel lines. If they're two parallel lines, that is a no solution. Those are considered inconsistent. So inconsistent means no solution. Consistent means it has a solution. And remember, consistent independent has one solution, like you're seeing here. Now, what I want you to do is give you about like 30 seconds here. I want you to give an example of a consistent dependent graph. A consistent dependent graph. Now, for this one, you should just have a single line on your graph. Okay, now something Mr. Rallone did is I put like the second set of arrows because that means that you have one over top of the other. Okay, they're always touching, so it has infinitely many solutions. Okay, all right, we are going to be taking the quiz. Okay, and in a little bit here, I want this to be paused and on our screen. But remember, you do not need a calculator for this quiz. All of your phones have to be put away. Make sure they're put away. All your earphones have to be taken out, and make sure that happens. Okay. Sub, if you could pass out the quizzes. This stays up here, so this is going to stay up and be paused. Okay. Once the quizzes are passed out, okay, you guys have about 15 minutes to get this done and turned in. Okay. Make sure we're turning into the sub. Make sure you do not get your phones out until this is turned in. Okay. Go ahead and pause the video now. All right. We are done with this quiz. Okay. And we're going to start taking some notes. So, sub, please pause the video and give students about a minute here to get out a piece of paper so that they are ready to go to take notes. All right. Now, these steps that I have up here can be confusing. Now, I'm going to explain it here, but it's easier to understand as we go through the process. So this is the process. First, if necessary, solve an equation. Now, what we are going to be looking for is a solved equation. Now, what does that look like? A solved equation looks like this, like y equals mx plus b. That's a solved equation. The y is by itself, so we say that's solved for y. Okay. Another example of a solved equation would be like this: x equals 2y plus 7. This is considered a solved equation. This one happens to be solved for x. It might have different letters. A equals 5 plus 7.2b. This one would be solved for A because the A is all by itself. So what we're looking for is, do we have an equation that has a letter by itself right now? That's what we're looking for. Okay. If not, we have to solve one. And I'll tell you, like for today, you're going to have one that's already solved. Okay. Once you locate which one the solved one is, okay, we start by substituting. We're going to substitute that solved equation into our second equation, our other one. Okay? And I'll show you how that works in a second. Now, this step is the most critical part because that gives us our starting equation. Okay? once you get her starting equation, it should have only one type of letter, so like only X's or only Y's or only B's. You are going to solve it. Okay, so you're going to solve that new equation, and that's going to give you the first answer. Okay? With that first answer, you're going to substitute your answer back in. Now, I'll give you some tips as to which one you should substitute it back in for, but that'll give you another equation to solve, and you'll get your second variable. And then I will show you how to check it. It's not required, but it's a nice thing to be able to do. Okay? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and look at some examples. Okay, we're going to do 4 examples here together. Yeah. Here's the first one. Okay, so we're going to use substitution to solve this system of equations. Now, the top equation says y equals negative 4x plus 12. The bottom equation says 2x plus y equals 2. You should be writing this in your notes. So the first thing we ask ourselves is, do we have a solved equation? Do either the top one or the bottom one have a letter that is by itself? And in this case, the top one, the y is by itself. So that's the solved one. And I'm going to put a box around what it equals, the negative 4x plus 12. So that's my solved equation. My other equation, this 2x plus y equals 2, that's going to be my blueprint. Okay? That's going to be kind of what I use to write my starting equation. Now, this is a Mr. Alone thing, but I like to do this. What number is in front of this y? It is a 1. Okay, so we are going to remove one of our letters. Which letter do we remove? The solved one says y equals. So we're going to take out our y and we're going to replace it with a parenthesis. So I'm just going to write the highlighted equation, but I'm not going to put a y in. I'm going to put a parenthesis where that spot is. So I have 2x plus 1. I don't put the y. I put a parenthesis. And notice I left some extra space there. And then I have my equals 2. Now, what goes inside our parentheses? What goes inside of here? The negative 4x plus 12. So let's put that in. And that is our starting equation. And we're going to solve this. Now, that's why we practice solving this specific type. So first, distribute. 1 times negative 4x is negative 4x. 1 times 12 is 12. Equals 2. Now think, where are my letters at? Left side or right side? And both of these letters are on the left side. So I need to move my 12 over. Minus 12. That's 0. I'm going to combine these. So 2x minus 4x, that's negative 2x. 2 minus 12 is negative 10. Finish it. Divide by negative 2, and x is 5. So I have my first of my parts of the data point. I know what my x is. It's 5. What I still don't know is what the y is. Okay, so far what we've done, okay, we found our solved equation. We substituted it in, okay, to create this new equation. And guys, that's a critical step right there. We created that new equation and we solved it to get our first answer, our x equals 5. Well, now we need to plug that 5 back in, okay? And we need to substitute it for one of the 2 original equations. My preference, use the solved one, okay? The one that says y equals. It's typically easier. So y equals negative 4x plus 12. And I'm going to put my 5 where the x is, because that's what x is. So I have negative 4 times 5 plus 12. And I solve this. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Negative 20 plus 12 is negative 8. So I have x and y. Okay? Now, If I want to check it, I can check it. Since I used the top one to get my second answer, I use the bottom one to check. Okay, so I would put my 5, that's my x. So I would put my 5 here. So that would be 2 times 5. And I would put my -8 as my y. So I put my -8 here. So it would be plus 1 times -8. And I'm going to make sure that it equals 2. So 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times -8 is -8. And 10 plus -8 is positive 2. So for sure, that is the right answer. Okay, without a shadow of a doubt, because that works. Okay, so this is the check. And that's the whole process. Yes, it is a longer process. Okay, so you really have to focus in as you're doing it and make sure you don't make any tiny mistakes. All right, let's look at our second one. Okay, go ahead and write the problem down. We got y equals 2x and 3x plus 4y equals 11. And I start the same way. Do I have a solved equation? Do I have a problem that has a letter by itself? Yes. Right here it says y equals. So I'm going to put a box around what y equals. Okay? That means I'm going to use this bottom one as my guide to write my new equation. What letter comes out? The x or the y? You make that decision based on which one's by itself. Since y is by itself, I have y equals. I'm taking the y out. I'm replacing it with the parentheses. So let's write it. 3x plus 4. Not writing the y, I put a parenthesis there. Equals 11. What goes inside the parenthesis? My 2x. So I put it in there. And now I solve. 4 times 2x is 8x. Add these up because they're on the same side already. Get 11x equals 11. Divide by 11 and x is 1. I have my x answer, 1. Now I need to get my y answer. Now I need to plug this back in. My recommendation, pick the solved one. That one is solved, so I'm going to choose that one to plug it back in. Y equals 2x. Well, x is 1, so I'm putting a 1 in that spot. So I have 2 times 1, and 2 times 1 is 2. So y is 2. So my answer is supposed to be 1, 2. If I want to check it, we plug those numbers back in. So I'd have x is 1, so 3 times 1. I use plus 4 times 2 because y is 2. And I'm making sure that that equals 11. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 plus 8 is 11. 100% sure that that is the correct answer. Okay. So these first two, what we've seen is we only have one of the two that are solved. Okay. Let's look at a third one that actually has both of them solved. So let's look at this one. We have y equals x plus 8 and y equals 8x plus 22. So I start off, same way, same thought process. Do I have a solved equation? Yes. Which one? Well, both of these actually say y equals. Okay, so you can follow the same thought process. There's my solved one. Okay, it's y equals, so I'm putting that in place of where the y is. Okay, but here's the reality is that whenever we have them both solved, you basically are putting those two things equal to each other. So what I mean by that is you're going to put x plus 8 equal to 8x plus 22. That's going here. X plus 8 equals 8x plus 22. And I solve. Okay, so variables need to move because the variables are on both sides. So minus 8x on both sides. That's 0. Those are going to get combined in a second. I have to move that 8, so minus 8. Those are getting combined in a second. 1x minus 8x is negative 7x. 22 minus 8 is 14. Divide by negative 7, and I get negative 2. So I got my x. My x is negative 2. Now I need to get my y. Now what I was saying before is you want to plug it into the solved equation. Well, both of them are solved. They both say y equals. So just make a choice. You can't be wrong. Just choose one of them. I'm going to choose this top one. That's the one I'm going to use. I like that one better. I think it's easier, but that doesn't mean I'm right. You can use the bottom one also. I'm just making sure I put my negative 2 where the x is. So I have negative 2 plus 8, and negative 2 plus 8 is positive 6. Okay. If I check it, I would use the other one. So y is 6. So I have 6 equals. That'd be easy. X is negative 2. So it'd be 8 times negative 2 plus 22. And I'm just going to check and make sure these two numbers end up being the same. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16. And negative 16 plus 22 is 6. So they are, I'm good. Okay, there's my X and my Y answer. Okay. Those are pretty much the 3 different types that we're going to see. Okay. Now, this last one that we're going to see is actually a special case. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to try to write the starting equation. I want you to try to write the starting equation. So think about which one is solved. Okay. Put the solved one into the second equation, into the other equation. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and give yourself about a minute to write the starting equation. Okay, so what we should have asked ourselves is which one is solved. On this one, the bottom one is our y equals. So there's our solved one. That means the top one is our template. That's what we are going to use to help us write the equation. Well, which letter should I take out, the x or the y? Well, this says y equals, so I'm taking out the y. So my equation should be this: negative 14x minus 2. I do not write the y, I put a parentheses there, equals 12. What goes inside the parentheses? The negative 7x minus 6. That's what goes there. And I solve this. Now, here's where the unique stuff happens. I distribute. Negative times negative, that is positive 14x. Negative 2 times negative 6, that is positive 12. My x's are on the left side, so I'm going to move the 12. Okay, so negative 14x plus 14x, that is 0. Now listen, we don't write 0x. It's just 0. Because 0 times any number is 0. We also do not write x, because if you write an x down, we are assuming that what we're saying is negative 14 plus 14 is 1, and that's not true. Negative 14x plus 14x is just 0. 12 minus 12 is also 0. So I have a problem that doesn't have any x's in it anymore. There are no letters left. It's just 0 equals 0. So I have to decide whether these are parallel lines or the same line. If they're parallel lines, it's no solution. If they are the same line, it's infinitely many. So I just look at the numbers. 0 equals 0. I have the same numbers, so it is the same line. This would be infinitely many solutions. and that's it. Okay? Now, if these numbers were different numbers, then that means it would be parallel. Okay? Because that means they start in different spots or they're parallel lines and you would write no solution. So those are the two main types. Now we're going to do a little bit of practice. Okay? It requires some pausing and some restarting. Okay? So on your paper, I need you to complete these two problems. Okay? You're going to need sub to pause the video. Okay? It should take approximately 10 minutes. Okay? So pause video, 10 minutes, do these problems. All right, let's take a look. The bottom one solved. It's y equals, I'm taking out the y. So for this one, my starting equation is 6x minus 6 parentheses equals negative 24. What do I put in the parentheses? The 7x minus 14. Now you got to be careful when solving this. You don't make any calculation mistakes. So 6x, negative 6 times 7x is negative 42x. Negative 6 times negative 14, negative times a negative, that's positive 84. My x's are on the same side, so I'm just going to put them together, and I need to move the 84, so minus 84. So 6x minus 42x is negative 36x. Negative 24 minus 84 is negative 108. Divide both sides by negative 36. And x is 3. Now there's my x. I still need my y. So I'm going to use my solved equation. I'm using the bottom one. And I'm putting my 3 where the x is. So 7 times 3 minus 14. 7 times 3 is 21. 21 minus 14 is 7. So my answer for this one would be 37. Okay. The second one, they're both solved. They both say y equals. So I'm basically going to put these two things equal to each other. So 6x plus 19 equals 7x plus 21. And I solve. They're on opposite sides, so I got to move them together. Got to also move the 19 over. Negative 1x equals 2. Divide both sides by negative 1, and x is negative 2. I'm not done. I've got to plug it back in, and it's a you decision. Decide which one you want to plug it back into. As long as I put it for an x, I'm good. I'm using the top. I'm using that one. And I'm going to put my negative 2 right there. So I have 6 times negative 2 plus 19. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Negative 12 plus 19 is positive 7. So I have negative 2, 7. All right, let's do another set. Go ahead and pause the video. Give students 10 minutes to complete these two problems. Okay, the first one, the top one is solved. It's y equals, so I'm taking out the y. So my starting equation would be negative 7x minus 6. Take out the y, put parentheses, equals negative 7. What goes inside the parentheses? Bx plus 12. And I solve. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times 12 is negative 72. X's are already on one side, so I'm going to put those together. And I'm going to add 72, so I'm going to move that over there. So I got negative 13x equals 65. Divide both sides by negative 13. x equals -5. So my x is a -5. We still got to figure out the y. Now the y, I'm going to choose the solved one, which is the top one. My -5 goes where the x is. So I get -5 plus 12. And -5 plus 12 is 7. There's my answer. Last one here. This one, they're both solves. Remember, we're basically going to put these two things equal to each other. So I have -3x minus 1 equals -5x minus 7. Solve it. Let's get our x's on one side, so add 5x. Get our numbers on the other side, so I'm going to add 1. -3x plus 5x is 2x. -1 plus 7 is -6. Divide by 2, and x equals -3. So there's my x. I still need to find my y. I'm going to choose the top one, even though it doesn't matter. Just make a choice. And I'm putting my -3 where the x is. So I'll have -3 times -3 minus 1. -3 times -3 is 9. And 9 minus 1 is 8. So I should have -3, 8 for that one. Okay, that's going to be the end of today's lesson. Okay, we will, in our next lesson, continue practicing this a little bit and be moving on to word problems. Okay, so enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure you save these notes so that they can get turned in. Bye-bye.